Hey, let's recap Legend of Korra, Book 4, Episode 9, called Beyond the Wilds. We start out in Rio's tour group, which, as we remember, is this kind of, geeky guy who now has some kind of 90s, cool guy tips with the light hair. And he's an airbender now, and he's giving tours around the spirit vines. His parents are there visiting. It's very comedic. But what happens is the vines start attacking. And this idiot guy says, I'm gonna go poke it with a stick. That's a brilliant idea. Why don't you go poke a spirit vine in the stick? See what happens. And as predicted, the vines attack everybody. They get captured. It's bad. So Jinora is like, oh my god, there's a spirit disturbance. And she brings Opal and Korra over to the vines to see what's going on. And it turns out it wasn't something bad she ate for breakfast, as Opal suspected. Korra uses her spirit connection that she learned in the swamp to find out what's going on in the swamp. And that's when she sees Kuvira's mecha tanks collecting spirit vines from Toph's home. And she's like, holy crap, we gotta tell the council. So she goes over to the city hall, where the world leaders are already gathered talking about Kuvira. So it's Raiko, it's Tenzin, it's Fire Lord Izumi, it's Wu, and then Beifong's there because she's, the muscle of the group. And basically what's going down in City Hall is Raiko's like, Kuvira is dangerous, we must strike before she strikes us. And Wu's like, here's an idea, let's capture her on this wild island. How about some dancing badger moles? How about any allergies? He's really not helpful, but at least he's participating and he's at this meeting. It's step. My dad suspected Tenzin is opposed to attacking Kuvira when she has an attack Republic City. What's interesting is that Fire Lord Izumi totally agrees with him because she's like, the Fire Nation has participated in so many senseless wars, we're not going to get into another one. This is really interesting because it kind of flashes back to the history of the Fire Nation. She's taking that and using that as a basis and a context for her political views now, which is pretty good. So, Zuko, you raised a good daughter, and so she's not gonna attack without proper motivation. And Lin Beifong, of course, is like, she's not to be trusted, she's dangerous, we gotta attack. I disagree with Tenzin, I'm with Raiko. And I'm like, you disagree with Tenzin? What? Oh my god, that's a big surprise! That's incredible! I think I'm gonna have a heart attack and die from that surprise! So Raiko's like, alright, we won't do anything, we'll just, secure our defenses, which the Fire Lord does get behind. But then, in comes Korra, and she's like, what are you guys doing having a meeting without me? You don't trust me? Which is, of course, going back to her insecurities about this entire season of her not being needed. Then, of course, Bolin and Varrick come crashing in, and they're like, we have top secret information! Kuvira's building a super weapon! We have to be prepared! And Korra finally gets to tell them about the spirit vines, so now they know that Kuvira is using a spirit vine super weapon, and she is collecting vines from the swamp, and this is going to be bad. To make matters worse, the spirit vines in Republic City capture Jinora, and she astral projects to Korra, so that Korra knows that, oh my god, all these people got captured and they're being captured in these little bulbs inside of the tree. And so Korra tries to get them out, but to no avail. And the reason that she couldn't do it is because she saw Zahir when she tried to meditate into the spirit world, and she couldn't get to the spirit world because she was too afraid of Zahir. And so she's like, I gotta face him, that's the only way I'm gonna get past this. And so she asks Tenzin, and at first he's very hesitant because he's very scared for her. But she took it as, no one trusts me, which is just going back to her insecurities again. But the problem is that she keeps insisting. She's like, I have to do this, come on. And he's like, alright, here's where he is. He's in a mountain. It's pretty great because he has to be enclosed because he can just fly away. And in fact, when she goes in to see Zahir, he's floating. He's freaking floating. He's got chains on him, but still, he can meditate into the spirit world and he can fly a few feet up off the ground. It's not a bad place. And given that he can escape into the spirit world whenever the heck he wants, he's not that bad off. Korra goes in there and she faces him. She says, you don't have any control over me. Zahir's just like, wow, you must be really in trouble if you're coming all the way to me. Which is, pretty too. She's pretty desperate. And so even though she doesn't trust him, she has to let him help her. So it was kind of interesting because he said, I'm your ally. Our goals are aligned. He was kind of like Zuko at this point, but not really. It's like, well, I didn't want this Earth dictator, but my situation caused this. Me killing the Earth Queen caused this, so I'm gonna help Korra. And really what he does is he helps her meditate and get to the spirit world. And the way he does this is he tells her, you have to stop blaming me. I can't be a crutch for your problems. You have to face what happened and not be scared of what might have been. Just accept it, and then you can move on. Which is basically what everybody's been telling her, but she really hasn't taken it to heart until this moment. And so when she meditates with Sahir, she gets to the spirit world finally, and she's reunited with Rava, thank God. And she's like, oh my gosh, Rava, where have you been? And Rava's just like, I've been here the whole time, you just haven't connected with me. Which is really a nice Avatar moment. And then she finds Jinora, and in the spirit world, she's able to spirit bend the pods and the vines so that they're all released. It was great to see him again. He was a fan-favorite villain, and now he's a fan-favorite ally because he did help Korra. So she says that she's not totally over it, but at least she's accepted it and she's able to use that knowledge going forward. And I'm really glad that it happened over the course of a lot of episodes instead of just one episode. It magically came together. You know, at first in the swamp she was like, oh, I got the metal out and I got the poison out, but I'm still afraid. I can't fight Kuvira. And then it's like, oh, I faced Kuvira, but now I'm still scared as a Zahir. And so going through these multiple stages, which really started at episode 2, called Korra Alone, this has taken up the entire season, and she's starting to learn that yes, I am needed, and yes, I still have power. Zahir says that you think your power has limits, but I think you are limitless. Here you are, the Avatar, with all of this power and the freedom to use it, and you choose to hold yourself back because you're scared. So Team Avatar is reunited because Bolin admits that he was an idiot, and that he admits that Korra and Mako, specifically Mako because they had a fight over this, was totally right about Kuvira. They hug, Team Avatar is all friends again. On a very small note, Raiko appoints Asami and Varrick as the two smartest people in order to think of a way to combat Kuvira and her spirit weapon. And Asami was mad at Varrick and everything that he did with, destroying her company and bombing buildings in order to, promote the war, which led to the funniest line of the episode, which was Varrick saying, hey, I own that building! A man's got a right to blow up his own property! So the last part of this episode is Bolin trying to get Opal back because they've been kind of on the rocks, and she's just not having any of it because she knows that he sided with Kuvira over her. He trusted Kuvira over what she was saying that she was doing, and he believed Kuvira that she wasn't being a dictator and she wasn't being oppressive, but he did find out that she's crazy. And so he's trying to apologize. He fakes breaking his legs to get her to a picnic. Doesn't work. And at the end she says, well, you can come with me and my Aunt Lynn. We're going to save our family. Because earlier, Lynn was like, okay, no one else is going to attack Kuvira. Everyone's siding with, the pacifists, the lamos. We have to go all vigilante and we have to get our family back. Which I'll admit is really, really nice to hear Lynn say our family, because last season it was like, oh yeah, I forgive you, but it was like one episode and it was really quick, and then next thing you know I'm saying I love you to my sister who I haven't seen in 30 years. So given that 3 years later she's like, this is my family, it's coming full circle, and it's helping us accept the fact that Lynn has opened her heart to her family. They load everything onto Opal's Bison Juicy, and they're going to go to Kuvira's camp in Zaofu and rescue the Beifongs. And Bolin admits that he loves Opal. He says, I love you, and then he says he'll do anything, and so the implication is he's agreeing to go with Opal and Lynn on this mission, which is going to be the focus of next episode.